All right, the final video. The top 5. Unsurprisingly, there's a gap between... Well, there was a gap between 7 and 6. So like Dark Aqua kind of stood out above the rest, and then Tension Rising was a step up. Everything in the top 5 is another step up above that. 4 and 5 were close. The top 3 separated like they often do in our scoring system. We have not gotten anybody else's number 1 yet, except mine. Womp womp. But that's about to change. So, I present to you for your enjoyment, Shaun's number 1.
Yay.
Nice.
So, this is the only exception I made, I think, at least. My intention of putting a medley on the... Because even like you have Shaun, you have the slow version and the fast version. I was like, yeah, but it's the same like song, right? I put them together. This, I thought, even though it's a medley, it stands out enough and it's a big enough moment to have it be its own. And like, what a moment. For me, one of probably the only people on the earth other than Michaela who loved the overarching story for the most part that they were telling. You have 3 or 4 spin-off games that are all just about, hey, meet these characters. They're all going to get fucked. That's the theme. They're all ruined. Their lives are destroyed until Sora saves everybody in 3. And this is the song that, like, I mean, I teared up for sure during this moment because this is everything that I wanted.
A mess.
And to have it capped off by this song that combines the themes of 2 of my favorite characters in the series and what it meant and their redemption and them getting saved and getting to like join in. And it was so much going on. And I thought it was the song was pitch perfect for the moment. And that's why it was my number 1.
Nice. Yeah, I really liked it
It's
too.
so good. I don't have anything else to add.
Yes.
It's just, yeah, I was a bawling mess for this entire sequence.
And you get like right now
So
you're
good.
hearing the theme in the background, but there's so much added to it. And I think beyond what you just get in their own theme. So it's not just simply their medleys thrown in and that's it.
Yeah.
It's an intelligent combination and addition, and not just Yoko being lazy and being like, yeah, just put them together, whatever.
Stitch 'em. Yeah.
And it's a
Because
total...
you even get some of Sora's theme in here, too.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a few different nods in this, which is appropriate given the fact that you're fighting alongside each other as well.
Yep.
I think the tonal shift is what's key here, because the basis of Roxas's theme is not happy and uplifting in any way, shape, or form. But we end up with this because it's at a moment where it matters, and this is the part where 3 does really well. Like these fights with the characters you're trying to fight to bring back as Sora were among the highlights of the game by far.
Oh yeah.
If anything, it felt like the payoff for slogging through a couple more Disney worlds at this point where you're like, okay. So like these were great. I would argue you should maybe had some more time with these characters after the fact and not have to just run off again, because ultimately Sora running off didn't matter. He didn't get there in time anyways, but bitterness again.
Well, and I think you basically just said it, but like the fact that you made, I think Shaun's theme and Rox's theme stand out to me because they're 2 of the saddest fucking songs. There's an interview she did. Well, you know what? I'll get to that interview later. They're very sad. And so to have their themes intermixed in a song that sounds triumphant is very cool.
Yeah, if that's on the list. It's on the list.
I was like, God, that's going to be wild, because I had it way up there. If it didn't even show up at all, that's crazy.
Not at all.
So that's the last one that I didn't vote for. You're like, why?
Boo!
History's greatest monster.
Boo!
Well, it's because of exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I had
figured.
this on my list, and I had them with like slash, both of them as one thing, because I thought, and they're very different. I don't mind them both being up here separately because they're so different, but I only made room for one, and so for me, it's this one.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was the one in the interview where she talks about like, I think crying is like so great, and if you're gonna cry a lot, and I want to capture that in the music I write. And you're like, okay, that seems mean, but you did it.
Succeeded.
Yeah,
On multiple songs.
when I play through this game again, I will tear up at this song, just knowing like what it embodies. I think on its own, it's sad enough. But you know, this is like the summer and all of that. It's like, it's brilliant. This is one of the best songs in gaming, period, I think.
This one's so good.
It's so good. the way it caps off the prologue is just like, I mean, a part of the game that I already love anyway. And then this music at the end. It's so good.
It's almost a shame, in retrospect. We talked about the Birth by Sleep trio, kind of underwhelming. Why don't these three have their own game? And you're like, well, 358 days, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
But, like,
right.
after the fact, like, you shoehorned this into 2, and it made sense, especially given the Sora Roxas connection. I'm not saying it was out of place, but it felt like an afterthought. And for a lot of people, and even me at the time included, I was like, where's Sora?
Yeah.
I want this right now.
Yeah.
I wish this had been given its own room to breathe because it's the best story in this entire franchise.
Yeah.
One, it's the Raiden thing. You know, he's become one of my favorite characters. In that, when he showed up, I was like, where's Snake? And what's happening? I feel like I'm being misled. And that's kind of with Roxas. He has a beautiful thing, awesome story, but you're like, what happened to Sora? When I left, he was like going on an adventure. Now he's asleep? Just kidding. I played Chain of Memories. I knew what happened. But still, it matters. God, this is so good. I just listen to this song like on repeat at times. Like, it's fucking incredible. And then just to shout it out, the faster version is really great too. This is not the faster version, is it?
No.
I thought it was. I think I misremembered.
Oh, there might even be a faster version. I think there is a slower, even still version.
There is a
which I love too.
Like, there's just the Roxas theme, which is different.
There's
from
one like
this,
it's like
but-
just a sad violin by
Right.
itself.
That's the Roxas theme, essentially.
Which I also love.
Sad flute, sad violin, yeah.
But it's essentially the same. And like, those two are so similar that those votes would have counted together because that's just... They're different, but not distinct. Whereas like Hearts is one is very different, even though it's the same melody.
Yep.
So it's an easy case to make in the top 5, and people had them voted separately, so it was not hard to do. But I didn't vote for them separately, and I wasn't going to change it after the fact. So
Yeah.
alas,
Oh,
top 3.
I love it. I'll get emotional right now.
So good.
Top 3 jumped up 57 points from that,
Good.
and they were all only separated by 10 points total.
Wow. Okay, I like that.
You can argue that on the day,
Damn.
maybe a different one of these is number 1 and something else is number 3.
Well, I said as much
Sure.
when I was making my
Yeah,
list. I was like, any of
exactly.
these could have been number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So let's find out what number 3 is, and it may surprise the 3 of you.
No, I mean, I
Ooh.
love it. I almost don't have much to say with this song that I didn't with Roxas. It's so sad. This is obviously the fight version.
Yes.
The best moment of
This is
days.
Yeah. This is the version from the DLC, so it's a bit more like punchy.
Yes. Because to be honest, I
So
don't
it's
think
even-
the soundtrack for Days is very good on its own, because it has like that 3DS instrumentation to it, so it all just kind of sounds sort of hollow and
Oh, yeah.
cheap. So that's why I picked this version instead. The song is great in it. It's the best song on the soundtrack for that. But went with this version because it sounds a lot more clean as far as like the overall sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, just Xion is the most pathetic character who's ever been created. She, like, has a really terrible life, just gets used, and then she gets killed, and then no one remembers that she existed. Except Sora, which is why he's great. But if you were to have a song that captured all of that, but also kind of upbeat enough to headline, like, the big traumatic fight that happens, I mean, to pull that off, I think, is so impressive. It's why she's one of my favorites. The conductor, and also Xion, I guess, but just so good.
So I did combine
I
these,
just.
and it's good that Shaun mentioned he was going to do the same thing. These
Yeah.
are different. This is a lot more fast-paced, but I think they're similar enough that it warrants it. I also thought, given that 2 of you voted for this, 1 of you voted for the slower version, but they were all high, I'm like, I'm going to combine them so it reflects on the group list and not separate them, because then they're not going to either one make it as high.
I combined them on my list. Michaela better have communicated that. Or she fucked up again.
I thought I combined them on all of them. I might have messed up, but
You
I
probably
thought I
not-
did it
just
for all.
One of them, I think Maisie's had the 8-word title that is her slower version.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I meant to do that across all 3.
I
That's my
like
bad.
I like her slow.
But it
Well,
sounds
and I
like the intent made it through. So.
Yeah. No, that's
for
great.
what it's worth, I do like the slower one a little bit more. But, like, yeah, it's the same song. It's fucking great. I love both versions. I actually even love my number 1 unofficial is the Dirge of the 13th, which is like a fan-made composition.
Oh.
No, it's
but
so
it
good.
just takes the song and it puts a little spin on it. It's so good. and like so depressing. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, at least we got to the right place in the end because I was like, well, I think this is correct. I don't
No,
wanna ruin a
it's great.
surprise.
Yeah.
And again, I
Yeah.
kept the other two split because I thought there was a case for it, but I think we're all in agreement.
Yep.
So.
And this
All right.
part, it's like a little bit different. It's so good. It's not just like the same.
so
You know,
good.
it would be good enough if it was the same melody for 3 minutes.
Well, it's Kyrie's theme.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there's some Kyrie in there
Yeah.
too.
Of
which I was
course it
just about
is.
to
That
bring
makes
up as well.
sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
And we have
Mhm.
the same little piano notes from Dearly Beloved there, which, hey, we haven't gotten to yet. I
Yeah.
don't know where it is.
What a good soundtrack. I feel very passionate. Like, I love Kingdom Hearts music. This, like, top 5 is like a more than most other
Yeah,
lists we
like
do
a
is like
whole
on a
other
whole other level.
Yes.
This is where Shimamura and Soken, I think, are the two all-stars of the industry for like their ability to weave in motifs constantly and not have it feel like it's forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little nod to this character, and on Kingdom Hearts it makes even more sense because half the characters are the other characters,
Yeah.
Right.
but still.
No, their ability to like layer the music but weave in those things while making it like so chilling
Yeah.
is fuck.
I mean, there's a reason why like people go to these concerts and they don't know Kingdom fucking whatever it is, but they go and they're dressed to the nines and they're just enjoying good symphony because the songs are just so well composed.
All right, top 2. You know what one of them is. I just mentioned it. Which
Oh,
one do you
yeah.
think's number 1? What's the other song we haven't gotten to yet?
I would have
Hollow
guessed. I
Bastion.
would have assumed. That's both of them. I would have assumed this one would have been number 1, although I would not have been surprised for Hollow Bastion being number 1, which is what it sounds like it is. So I'm here for it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It is indeed Hollow Bastion and Dearly Beloved. Again, only 10 points separated the top 3. So we can say there's a number 1, but it wasn't exactly a clear cut like it was in, say, our villains list, where it was just like and took off compared to the rest. So by telling you number 2, I will tell you number 1, but we'll talk about number 2 first because that's how you do lists.
Great. So I support this. I'm the reason, I think, I don't know where Chris had it. I'm the reason that this is number 2 because I just tend to rate like area themes less than like character themes or fight themes. It's just something. I don't know why. And yet, this song is the best song in Kingdom Hearts 1 by a mile, I think. It blew me away. Like, I think Chris talked about like the Silent Force earlier, just like being like, whoa, what is happening? That's what it was like when I came to this level. And where it comes, it's kind of the coming out of the darkest night moment of the game because you just were a Heartless and now you're in this new place and Beast shows up and he's like, hey, I'm going to be on your team. The best Beast has ever been in any medium. It's just fucking great.
And you don't have a Keyblade.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
it's just,
your friends leave you. Riku steals your friends and your Keyblade. You just have a stick.
it's sort of desperation
You have to
and
do.
and that they key into that a lot. Key in. Got it.
Stupid.
But
Yeah.
it's just it's really great.
Yeah, I literally just stayed, I like sat down in this world just to fucking jam
Yeah.
out. I was like, I'll rack up my time. I don't care. This song is fucking amazing.
What do you call this? The piano is hitting like a different key or a different like no every time. I don't know if there's a
Playing
word
the
for it. And then this part, this background part is so good. I have like ADD when it comes to
So
this
I
song.
don't know what
It's
that's
so
called
good.
either. It's so good. And it kind of has a unique sound. Like when we go back and listen to some of the other songs that have been on this list, it has a very unique identity.
Yeah. Yes.
That other like audio identity that other songs don't really have.
So this is in
It's so
5/4
good.
time, I think, which is already sort of a weird time signature. Not nearly as abnormal as some other ones, but still, it's not like a normal 3/4/4/4. And then with the piano hitting on every other note, it's basically like 10/4.
yeah.
And what's interesting about that to me is like, so I don't know what the term is for that specifically, where it's like every in-between beat. In drumming, you would call it 4 on the floor if you hit every main beat, and this is hitting the offbeat as well. But it just sounds like unsettling. And what's funny is like it obviously made a big impact at the start. Like for all of us, it did. It's like, whoa, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
But like, it even fits as I'm going around like weird elevators and platforms and being lifted around. Like it fits the whole time. It's not even just like that first impression mattered.
Yeah.
The whole time I spent in this world, I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like, cause I was like, there's a mystery to be solved. Gotta figure
Exactly.
out what the hell happened to my friends. What the hell happened to my Keyblade? Beast is out here killing everything for me, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Why is Belle here? Like, what? There's a lot of things to
it's
figure out, and it all
mystery.
culminates in the fight with Riku and Forza Del Male and just the whole thing.
It's also like it represents some of the best fusion of Disney and like the Final Fantasy elements. Because again, I think you have to have the Disney worlds, but it's maybe where the game is at its weakest. But now it's like this is a new area, great song, great music, and then you have these characters showing up that are from Disney properties, but in like a new. There's like a freshness that you don't get in the Disney worlds where they're largely just retelling those stories, and they never really nail this again.
Yeah.
And so I think this song and this moment stands out for that too.
I think it's new as well. Like so the first game, I think I give it the Disney World's a lot more slack because it was different. And where else are you going to go? You haven't established other worlds. You haven't built up this lore yet. So like it kind of made sense then. And now in 3, you're like, all right, like Sora still has to go make friends with fucking the Tangled
Captain Jack
World.
Sparrow.
Yeah.
And here's okay, cool, Baymax, great. I mean, I liked those worlds, and there was a fun to see them in it. But at that point, you're kind of like, okay, we've done this like 20 times now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and
this
the
game,
high
it was
being
different.
the Pirates of the Caribbean world, the low being just Frozen. You're just
Just
playing Frozen, the film.
You're just in Frozen.
I did have Let It Go on my first cut just because I thought it'd be funny if it made our list.
Yeah, I saw you put like,
Haha.
Yeah.
I had 3 jokes on there.
Oh, yeah, that was
Shipmeister's
great.
Humoresque was one of them too. 'cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that fucking song.
Uh-huh.
Building ships and hearing it on loop.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
My roommate at the time also playing the game and spending more time on the ships.
No.
All right.
Oh, no.
We've settled on a number 1, and I think it's fine because it's sort of emblematic of the series. I'm going to start playing it because I have 5 different versions loaded up in here because, well,
Heck yes.
there's a different version of this in every
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts game, so you can argue if it's not like Destati or one of the other songs we mentioned that this is Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird because I don't think any of us, even now, would say, like, do we think this is the best song in Kingdom Hearts? I think all of us would say no. But I also don't mind it as the number 1 because it's so representative
It's
of the
just-
series. It's repeated throughout the series. It feels like it's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Well,
And it's very beautiful, too.
yeah, and like I really remember, I mean, like, because I have such a terrible memory, but like I really remember like being able to finally play 3 and having this as like the loading screen and just being actually like genuinely so freaking excited and like just listening to the song when I was loading the freaking game. I was crying. I was
Yeah.
like, this is just so
Yeah.
already emotionally charged. It's so good.
And it's not like we've had some crazy complex songs. This is very simple.
Mhm.
And yet, like, when you arrange it right, it's still it's a great impact.
I put the 2 version first. It's probably my favorite.
2 version is also my favorite, but there's a lot of really good versions. The versions from Days is also really good.
Because this version has the counter melody in it for the first time.
Yeah.
This part here with the strings, where like that's what added it and took it to a new level for me. I like Dearly Beloved in 1, but it was adding this other stuff, and other versions have now expanded on this further. But to me, this was the sweet spot. Like Sean said, it's like it's simple, but it's clean.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. It's emotional, like it's kind of sad, but also
Mhm.
hopeful. And like, I don't know if I can think of any other game where if I pull up the title screen, I will start crying. just by the
Literally.
music. You
Well,
know what I mean?
I think
Exactly.
the only one that maybe is like Final Fantasy, and I think that was kind of maybe the inspiration for the direction that the song took. Was Final Fantasy, you boot it up, you know, in most cases, like what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Let's try to emulate that, and I would say they surpassed it
Mm-hmm.
because to me, this is like the definitive version of that.
The only other one I can think of is specifically Skyward Sword's Fairy Fountain.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
That's
that's
for
a good
true.
point.
the build up for the
Yeah.
wait for years after Twilight Princess to finally get that one and have it be my favorite version of that. That's the only one that came close because there's not a lot of other title themes where I'm like, oh, this is it, and this is the one again. Like, it's almost perfunctory. They're not that different, but every time I'm like, oh, it's a new version of this. Great, it feels comfortable. It feels familiar,
Yeah,
and that's the list. This is our chance to review. I didn't make an end slide, but you can see the final of our 6 votes. But this is a chance to talk about how you think the list came out as a whole.
very pleased. And like again, my number 1 barely. I'm not barely. It cracked the top 5, but it wasn't everybody's number 1. And I'm still like thrilled with how the list turned out.
Yeah.
I'm also really happy with how it turned out. Even just in the top 5, we have a good balance of like, here's the song that's emblematic of the series. We have an overworld theme. We have a character theme. We have some battle themes. Like, it kind of just ticks all the boxes of like, here's everything that Kingdom Hearts music is about.
Yeah, and I think you just said it. Like, I know with the Final Fantasy list, I'm big time go more towards like the bigger, the faster songs. And I didn't have a good representation for the slower stuff or the character or the town or whatever. And like, I feel like we've really hit it all.
Yeah, so good.
Maisie's just jamming. She's like, I don't want to say anything. Just let me enjoy. Just let me enjoy the songs.
I love the music.
That's why
so
she
much.
wanted to do this. She just wanted to listen to all the
I just
songs.
want to listen.
She's here for vibes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's nice is when we do this, we usually take a measured approach to it. We take our time on it. We take it seriously. It's not just 25 whatevers. And the combined vote usually ends up representing everybody pretty well. Most of the time, people's number ones don't end up outside the top 10. And as a whole, like, we get people. So like I can make my list and I can be happy with my list because it's how I feel. But then the group list, I'm still like, okay, I'm in there.
Yeah.
And yet there's other picks for songs where I'm like, yeah, I thought about that one, but I couldn't find room for it. But I'm glad it's there. And this list encapsulates that for me, just because I had like, again, 70-something songs in my first cut. That's a lot for a first cut. I'm usually in the 50-ish range.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of music from this series I like, but we pared it down pretty well to I think a list that we love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
What's next is the question.
I mean, you know my vote, but I understand if we don't want to do that one yet. It would be Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright.
That would also be my vote.
But we're getting more and more niche. So, like, if we don't want to do that one next, I understand.
I think we go in more niche one more time, and then we do Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
Ooh,
People are like,
that'd be
you're
fun.
gonna make a top 25 from Chrono Trigger. I'm like, I'm gonna rank every fucking song in Chrono Trigger,
Pretty much.
top to bottom,
Yeah.
and we'll see what
Yeah.
comes out of it for the top 25. What's nice is the songs are pretty short, so we can still do a top 25, and it wouldn't take a ton of time. Some of those songs
Well,
are like 50-second loops.
And
but-
I think, so Phoenix Wright is just going to be the 4 of us. Again, I have to imagine. I think it's unlikely that it's more.
right,
Chrono Trigger probably is going to be the bigger group again, I would think.
should be.
So
Dave will be there.
that'll be fun too.
I made Dave listen to that soundtrack.
Yeah. So
Good.
when do we have any idea when we do Phoenix Wright yet?
New Year,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
seems obvious given that this is airing like a week before the end of the year, but probably not till like February at the earliest.
I'm going to start getting my list ready.
Yeah, you can start now. I mean, I had this list started months ago until we finally got around to it. So any work you do is going to pay off on it while it's fresh. But-
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't often show, but this is the chance to when we finish a large project. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you like what we did. Let us know what songs you thought were appropriately ranked or what ones you thought we missed that you like a lot. You can like the video. That's cool. And that's it. I'm done showing. Hit the bell or some shit. I don't care about notifications. See you next time.